Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of this e-commerce website tutorial series. Today we're going to go through this to-do list. We're going to create a new app for the core pages, set up a simple base HTML file which is going to be used for extending, and then set up the front page where we're going to show some hard-coded projects. So we can begin by going to the command line and say python manage.py start app core. Sorry, I think I need to use Python 3 like that. So now I have a new folder called core inside the main folder here. So if I go to the editor, then I have it here as well. Inside here I got some new files. One admin.py, which is for registering the models with the admin interface, and then some configurations for the app, and then a models.py for describing Django what the data should look like, a file for running tests, and then one more file for creating the views for this app. So now that we have the app, I can set the first task to done. Next step is now to create a simple base.html file. I want these templates to be located in this app, so I need to create a new folder here called templates, and then one more folder in there called core. Django automatically look for a folder called templates inside all of the apps that it has. And then I create a new folder in there to separate the apps from each other. And then in here I create one more file called base.html. And then I paste some code that I have created. It's just declaring the doc type, setting up the meta char set, and then the viewport. And then I also include Tailwind CSS as a CDN and with an empty body. And this is just so I can test that everything is working. So I can save this, and then I can create the view for the front page. So if I go to views.py, I can describe it here or define it as a def front page, and then I pass in the request parameter. And then I want to render the base.html file, and I do that by saying return, because a view always needs to return something. And then I use a shortcut called render, which comes from Django. Here I pass in the request, and then the template we're going to use, which here is core/base.html, and save. And then I need to import this to the urls.py file, which I talked about in the previous part. I can remove this comment, and then I can import all of the views from here by saying from core.views import front page. And when we go to the front page of this application, which here is empty, then we go use the view called front page. And we can also name this front page so we can reference it other places in the application. So if I now save, I can go to the command line and run the development server by saying python 3 manage.py run server. And here you get the migration warning. I'll come back to this later, but you don't have to think about it right now. So if I click this address, it will open up a new page in the browser. Here you will see that I get a template does not exist error. But we know that this file exists. And the reason this comes is that Django doesn't know that we actually created a new app called core. So you can define this in settings.py. Here we have a list of installed apps. All of these comes built in from Django. For example, the admin interface, and for handling sessions, static files, messages, and similar. And then at the bottom here we can add core and save. So if I now go back to the browser and refresh, the template error was removed, and we can now see that we have an empty page here. And that is because we haven't added anything to the template yet. And that is the next step. So we can begin by setting in the footer, which is the simplest thing on the template. So if I just go back to base.html and then in body here, I create a new element, footer, and set the background to be bg_gray100. And this is a class from Tailwind. And then in here I wanted a new div element with the class of max width of 6x XL. And then I want to center this on the screen, and I need to do that by saying mx auto. And then I want some spacings above or inside this element on the top and bottom by saying py10. And then on the x-axis I can say px6. And if you are on a, this is now for mobile devices and small screens, and if you are on XL, which is desktops, then you can say px0, because there you don't need any spacing. And when we are on medium screens, I want to say md flex, because then this needs to be a flex container. And justify between, so we get spacings between the elements in here. Then I can first add a div class footer left. If I go to the template, I can show you. I want to add this now. And as you can see, it fills out almost all of the screen. So footer left, this is just for me knowing which element this is. You need to set MB12, so you get some margin below this. That will only be for mobile devices. MD, MB0. So when this is on medium screens and up, the margin bottom is set to 0, but default is MB12 because we are doing mobile first. And then I want to add the title, H2 class, MB5, so we get some spacings below the title. I want to set the title to be uppercase, and I want the text to be large, so text LG, then about us. So if I save now, go back and refresh here, you now see that we got the gray background, and here we have the title. Then below here I just want some simple lorem ipsum text, so I can create a new element, P, class, and set this to be text gray 700, so it's not black like the title. Lorem ipsum blah blah blah, because I don't want to write anything there right now. Great. And then we want the social links on the left, on the right side of the screen. So if I go back here now, then next to this footer left, we can create a new div element. Now we can call this footer right, just for separation. And then in here I also want the title, which should be similar to this. So I can just copy it and replace the content with social links. And then below here we have an unordered list for the different social networks. So UL class space -y2. So we get some spacing below and above these different elements. Then we add the li, and href can just be set to empty. Class text purple 500, so we get the purple color on it, and when we hover it, we want it to be a deep, darker purple color. So hover text purple 800, and then Facebook, for example. And I can make a copy of this, paste it a couple of times, replace this with Twitter, Instagram, and save. So if I refresh now, you'll see that we get the links here on the right side. Great. So now that we have the footer, we can continue by adding the menu up here. So go back to the editor, and then above the footer we create a new nav element, class border B, so I get some border below this, and set the color to be border gray 300. And then in here I want this to be centered on the screen as well, so I can make a copy of this div, because I want everything to be similar. The padding should just be a little bit different, because here I want to be py2. Padding on the x-axis can be set to 6, and then no spacings when you have a big screen. Then we have the MD flex, but actually here it can be flex on mobile devices as well. And then I want this to be items centered as well, so the items are placed on the middle of the menu. Then in here I want to add the left side of the screen, which is the logo and these two. So div class menu left. Set this to be a flex container as well, because the menu and the items on the next to it to be on the same height. So flex and items center, and set the space -x6. So we get some spacings between the menu and the links. And then the first element is the logo, which is a typical anchor link. Set href to be empty. We can add py4, so I get some spacings above and below the logo. The text should be set to large and to be purple and semi-bold. So I can save this now and see if it's work. Yes, here you can see the logo and we have the border at the bottom as well. Next step then is to add these two links. So below this anchor tag, we create a new UL clause, flex, items center, and space -x4. So we get some spacings between the links. Then just add ally, href. This can go to shop, which will be the shop page. Now we can also have a about page. Save this, and we can go back and refresh, and then you can see them here. Perfect. Then the last element in the menu are these two icons for going to your profile and seeing the cart. So then below the menu left, we create a new div class, menu right. This should also be a flex container, set items center, and space -x4. So we get some spacings between the two icons. Then we can begin with the my profile. So href can just be set to empty. And then in here I want to add the icon from hero icons. So I just go to heroicons.com and search for user. You can use this one and click copy SVG. Then I can just paste it like this. So if I save this now, refresh, you'll see that we see the profile link there. Nice. And then I want the cart as well. So I can search for cart. Then I can copy this, which is a shopping bag. Go back and create one more anchor tag, href, and paste the icon in there. So if I save this now, go back and refresh, you'll see both of the icons here. Perfect. The next step then, when we have the menu, is to add this header, which is just a purple background with some text. So go back and into base.html, and then between the footer and nav, we add a main element, and then in here a header class px6, so we have some spacings in it. And then py10, so we have spacings above and below. And if the screen is large, then we want even more space, so py20. Set the background to be bg purple-500, which is the purple color we have used other places as well. And then in here I want one more div where I can center all of the screen, all of the text, sorry. So div class max width should be set to max width 3xl, and mx auto and text center, sorry, mx auto. And then I want to add a paragraph for the title, so p class mb2, so we get some spacings below this title and down to the text. mb2 text 3xl, and on large screens I want the text to be even larger, so lg dash text 5xl. And I want to set this to be white, so text white. Then we can add the title here, welcome to Nordic Homes, and save. So we can see that it's working. Nice. And below the title I just want to have a small headline, and then below the title I want this little headline. So below this paragraph I create one more paragraph, p class, and this should be mb10, so we get some lot of spacings below this, and set the text to be white. The font size and similar can just be the default. And then here I say we sell furniture for modern homes. We can close the paragraph, and below this I want one button where you can click this to go to the shop page. So href can be empty for now. Class, can be inline block, so this margin will work as expected. Then we want some spacings on the sides, so we get some spacing in the button, as you can see here. px-8, py-4. I want the corners to be rounded, XL, the background to be white, and the text to be purple, 500. And if you hover it, I want the background to be a little bit gray. So hover, BG gray, 200. And the text of the button can be start, shopping, and save. So now we can refresh. Then we'll see the title, the head text below, and then the button with a little hover effect. Great, so now we have set up the base template. So I can set this to be done now, and then I want the next step to be to extend the base.html and use it for the front page. Because this base.html file should be used for all of the other pages as well. So I can begin by creating a new template, frontpage.html, and I can move the header into that file. So copy this header, paste it there, and save that file. And I can also save the base.html file and go to the views.py and just rename this to front page. But if I save now and refresh, nothing will work. You will just see the contents of this file. But now I want to make it possible to extend this and show the content from this file in here. And to do that, we need to add a block directive. So block content, and below here is the end block. So if I copy this line and paste it above here, then I close there, end block. And then I just need to say here extends core/base.html. So now all of the content from in here will be rendered in here. So I can save now, go back and refresh, and now the page works as it did before. But now it's much easier to create new templates for the other pages, like the product page, about page, and similar. So then I can set this task to done, and then the last task now is to add products to the front page. This should just be hard coded, but it's nice to see what everything will look like. So in here, or below the header, we create a new element, div class, and I will set the max width to be 6x XL, the MX auto, so it's centered on the screen. We have some spacings above and below and on the sides. And if it's an extra large screen, there are no paddings on the side. And then in here, I want one more div element for the flex container where the products should be placed. So we call this element products. We set it to be a flex container, items centered, so all of the products are on the same line, and flex wrap. So if you have more than 4 products, the next product will go to the next line. And then in here, I can start creating products. So for mobile screens, I want the products to fill out the whole screen. For medium devices, I want them to take up 1/3 of the screen, and for extra large, 1/4. And then I set the padding 6, so we have padding inside it, over and below, and also on the sides. Then in here, I create one more div element with some padding top, set this to be a flex container, and the items to be centered and justified between. This will be the product name and also the icon or button for adding it to the cart. So href can be empty and just say product name. So we can see that this is working. So if I now go back, refresh, you'll see the product name there. It doesn't look very impressive yet, but it will be better. So I can go back again, and then below here, I want to create one more anchor tag, href, set it to be empty. Now add a class, text purple 500, and hover text purple 800. And then in here I want to use the same shopping bag as we have up in the menu. So I can make a copy of this and then paste it there. So if I now save, go back and refresh, you'll see here a shopping bag. And later it will be possible to click this to add the product to the cart. And then below the product name, I want to show the price of the product in gray. So this should be below this div p class pt1. So we get some spacings up to the price, now up to the name. Text gray 400 and then a random price. Perfect. And then I want to show a picture here as well. So as you can see here we have a picture with rounded corner and a shadow effect when we have the mouse over it. So if I go back here and then above this div, I want to make it possible to click this image as well. So href can just be set to empty. And in here I want to create a img class rounded xl and hover shadow lg. So the shadow is large when we hover it. And then the source can just be a random squared image. I will use one from my demo, so I just copy this image address and save. And if I now go back and refresh, it doesn't work. Okay, I will come back to the images later. Doesn't really matter right now. So if I refresh, we'll still see the product name, the cart button and the price. So if I now make a few copies of this here, div, paste 4 of them and save and refresh, you'll see that you have 4 here. If I add a 5th, it will go to the next line automatically. Great. So then I can go back to the to-do list and set the last task to done. And that was it for this part. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit like and add a comment below if you have any questions. See you in the next video.